Hello wonderful interpreters, and thank you again for tuning in. We have important updates from PERC to cover and multiple reports from interpreters about their issues with the scheduling system. So let's get started. So interpreters keep reporting issues with unpaid invoices, but also not being able to accept appointments. This interpreter here kept getting this message for the last 7 days when trying to get appointments. Interpreters share their frustration every day, by the way, on different social media outlets like WhatsApp. This interpreter here says that we don't have work, but new interpreters are paid on time and have a full-time schedule. Please remember to pause this video at any time in order to read the information that you see on the screen. Interpreters are still experiencing issues with their payments despite LNI announcing that they started working on interpreters getting paid since back on July 12th. I talked about this LNI bulletin in my last video. Here you saw how LNI was processing these delayed payments as of July 12th, despite WFSE now claiming that they made it happen. But they didn't do anything, as you can see clearly here. But of course, they engaged in more shenanigans, sending a quote-unquote demand letter to LNI on July 16th, 4 days after LNI had already announced that they were processing those delayed payments. Here you see their current president posturing as if they accomplished something. That's Contractual, by the way. This is their actual president, the same individual who WFSE leaders accused of using their union for his own personal benefit, as you see here. They even proposed a no confidence vote not so long ago when he was still their vice president. Look at this. This guy even incurred unauthorized expenses using their members' money. Read it yourself here. Booking a hotel room and having the union pay for it without permission. But I've exposed how little regard they have for their members' dues before, so there you have it. So of course, he's going to claim victory for something his union did not do. That's how dishonest these so-called leaders are. Celebrating 80 interpreters attending their Zoom meeting with their friend, of course, Marisa Gillio. Interpreters mostly wanted to confront their company and get answers, of course. That's why they were there, and not because of WFSE. Besides, we have over 1,200 LNI interpreters in the LNI system, and more than 30% of those interpreters signed our card, by the way, as you have seen already before. But it's sad how WFSE leaders engage in these fake celebrations. So their so-called town hall virtual meeting was a disaster, according to the multiple reports that we have received so far. This interpreter here is only getting 4 appointments a week, but used to have 25 to 40 appointments weekly before this implementation. This interpreter is obviously upset with WFSE claiming a fake victory when this interpreter is only getting about 4 appointments a week. Now, after their meeting, we started receiving multiple reports of interpreters because these interpreters were upset with this lady's behavior at the meeting. This interpreter emailed me and described Marisa Gillio's erratic and rude behavior during the meeting. According to this interpreter, Marisa was very rude, added unnecessary comments to questions, blamed the interpreters and the medical providers for the many flaws with her platform, and started yelling when asked about her ties with WFSE leaders. She started saying things like, "It's your fault there is corruption in Washington." Also complaining about losing $250,000 on this contract. Other interpreters said that she complained about having to hire more people for a call center and not sure about continuing with the LNI contract when it's over. This lady here, man, she obviously has no respect for interpreters. She can't protect private data, as we have shown before, since there was a data breach within her system, and now it looks like she's been drinking WFSE's Kool-Aid, accusing LNI interpreters of corruption. Oh, hell no! I think Marisa Gillio should just cut her losses and leave, because we will not tolerate this kind of behavior when we win the election and have our union certified as the legal representative for LNI interpreters. I want you to look at the contract between LNI and her company, My Language Link, aka interpretingWorks, from Connecticut here. I've shown you this before in my videos, by the way. It clearly says here that her company has to provide customer support 24/7. So what was she complaining about having to spend that much money, huh? The contract also says that they have to maintain a physical business presence located here in the state of Washington. Do you see this? Now I have a question. Where is this office, by the way? Where is it? Going back to this email, at the end, the interpreter here says these are unnecessary comments and tell you the type of person that she is and what kind of leader she is. Absolutely unacceptable. This interpreter is 1000% right. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, I know this is all upsetting, right? But I want you to know that we now have our unfair labor practice hearing confirmed for September, starting on the 13th. You see, WFSE tried to delay the election even more when they filed their own unfair labor practice months after we filed our complaint back on March 30th. But their strategy didn't work because their copycat complaint has now been consolidated to ours, as you see here, and it will be heard on the same date. PERC offered earlier dates, by the way, but of course, WFSE and LNI lawyers refused to accept those once again. I want you to look at this, okay? This WFSE lawyer here is even requesting the hearing to stop early so that he could go to a baseball game. You can't make this up, seriously. However, our unfair labor practice hearing will be on September 13th, 14th, and 15th now. Regardless of what you hear and read from WFSE leaders, LNI illegally made these changes to our working conditions in the middle of the election process, and now they'll have to answer for it once and for all. PERC will determine if this implementation will be scaled back, okay? Not WFSE or LNI lawyers, by the way, and they could argue whatever they want, but PERC will ultimately decide, so don't be deceived by these people and stay tuned. In closing, I'm very sorry that so many of you have been alienated by this lady from interpretingWorks and ultimately by WFSE leaders. You see, you do not alienate a whole community of workers just because of a few bad apples. The reality is that WFSE leaders are desperate because they know they do not have enough support, so they will say anything to get a reaction and try to remain relevant. How sad this is. So don't even pay attention to their propaganda. You see, their demands are fake because there is no certified LNI union for interpreters yet, and they know it. Their leaders are not LNI interpreters themselves, and the only thing they can offer to you is just lies, misinformation, and more propaganda plus posturing. But don't worry, you'll get an opportunity to shut them up when we have the election and they get further humiliated by losing badly, because we are in the lead by far and they know it. Once we win, we will fix this mess together with a real dual system that allows independent interpreters to contract directly and without restrictions. Also, with a functional scheduling system and with a company that pays interpreters on time and respects their businesses. Find instructions in the description below to send us your signed card. Like this video and subscribe to our channel in order to keep on getting more relevant information for our interpreting community. See you in the next video. Do not lose hope, and as always, God bless.